Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He is Justin Byerly. Welcome to the Fast Break right here on HoopSeen.com. We're going through the early signing period, and we had to bring it back, JB. We had to bring back the Justins right here on the Fast Break. It's been way too long, and as we were prepping the show, I was thinking, man, has it really been since July since you and I have shared a screen for a HoopSeen pod? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that's correct. It's been a while, man. Glad to be back.
I'm glad to be back with you as well. It's not Justin with hats after dark. We'll save that for the event season. I think that's where the event season deserves Justin with hats. We're both rocking hats late at night. Now we're just two normal tired dads just trying to make it in this world of basketball, my friend.
Just trying to get by.
Just trying to get by. That's all we are. We're just like a great Chris Stapleton song now, I think. Two dads just getting by. Anyways, that's probably a different song for a different genre, but we'll leave it there. It's all good. Listen, we're talking about early signing period. And for me, I'm really excited about this pod because we're going to talk about the Southern Conference. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like every time I go to one of our events, I always get like a real preview to what the league will look like because this conference recruits HoopSeen so incredibly well. I mean, last year we saw, Furman, run the table and get to the NCAA tournament with a lot of guys that played really well on our platform. Guys that were, HoopSeen, all tournament guys. Every year it feels like this league has players that we've seen at the high school level, and it's not a big. I don't know for you, it's not a big surprise. Do you pick the Southern Conference team to win to get out of the first round in the NCAA tournament? Just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. We, with seeing these guys on a HoopSeen stage, we know what they can do, and that's what March is for. And a lot of times, more than not, these guys show up and on that big stage and make things happen. So it's something that it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like this 24 class, we've got some guys that I think fall in that same category where the league right now is still pretty quiet, really, for recruiting. A handful of schools have multiple guys. There's some schools that don't have any guys at all, Furman being one of those guys. And so I'm curious to see the strategy for some of these programs. Do they lean more into the transfer portal instead of landing high school guys, which it wouldn't shock me if they do. But we also have some really good players coming into the league. And I think we've got to start right there at Chattanooga. Who do you like in this class, and really how good is this class?
Yeah, I think it's a good class. I think Dan Earl has come in there and did a really good job of recruiting. We saw him a lot of HoopSeen events. And Isaiah Odelick starts out with that. I mean, he was one of our top guys all season long for No Guts, No Glory. He was on the verge of maybe some higher stuff there in the summer, but ultimately picked the Southern Conference, a conference that I feel like he can come in with his versatility and his shot making ability and size can make an impact pretty much as soon as he gets on campus.
Yeah, he was. I would dare to say that he may have been the most consistent guy that we had this year on the HoopSeen platform for 2024. Like each and every event, you knew what you're going to get from him.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, he brought it every weekend.
He reminded me a lot of oh man, I'm going to draw. You might be able to help me here. Seaborn that played at NC State.
Yeah, Darion Seaborn.
Seaborn. That's who he reminds me of. Right. Like a big versatile guy that can step out, hit threes, can guard the three, can guard the four, high energy guy. Yeah. And what we've seen so far out of Dan Earl's, his fingerprint on that Mox program, that's kind of style basketball they want to play.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I think he fits perfectly. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. They added another one, 6'9", 240, Latif Diouf, a big man out of the Netherlands, playing in the Bay Area in California, playing for the Oakland Soldiers. Really big kid, maybe the biggest guy coming into the league this year as well. Had a 50-point game in high school. Pretty interesting guy. Of course, you got to be interesting enough to go all the way from Netherlands to California, then to Chattanooga. That's quite a long, strange trip for basketball, but I kind of love it. I kind of do love it. By the way, have you been to Chattanooga before? You've been to Chattanooga, right?
I've been to Chattanooga, yeah.
Unbelievable, underrated city in the South.
Beautiful city right there along I guess that's the Tennessee River.
Yep.
Really cool little town. Lot of outdoor activities, hiking. Cool little town.
Yeah, when we lived in North Georgia, tons of great music. We'd go up there in the fall, probably once a month, honestly. I love that town. So it doesn't surprise me that Chattanooga is one of those places that year in and year out, no matter who the coach is there at the program, they're always going to land some great guys. So we really like this one a lot. Isaiah Olotuk all HSA guy, one of our best that we've had on the HoopSeen platform, one of the more storied guys that we've seen in our platform, headed to UTC. And you're right, man. They held off some schools. Chattanooga was probably – this was an interesting year on the recruiting front. If you go back to the spring and then you kind of get into the summertime, it was just – it still is different because of the portal. But Chattanooga was there every single time I looked down the coach's row. They were there recruiting Isaiah, so they certainly pulled that one off, and good on them. Let's talk about Wofford as well. They went down to Peach State, which they seem to always do. Dwight Perry and the Terriers this is first real year as a head coach recruiting, and they went back to the Honey Hole where Wofford's had a lot of success. They got a couple guys down the Peach that we've seen before, and I know Josh Tech has seen quite a bit of. But for a two-man class, you seem to like this class a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a real good class for Perry. They went through all that stuff with losing the coach a few games into the season, and then he's having to take over. But they went back to their roots. They've always done a really good job of recruiting Georgia. So I think Kamari Holmes and I forget the other guy, but
Luke Flynn. Luke Flynn.
So they got a strong class right there for high school seniors.
2 top 15 guys out of the state of Georgia, which, listen, if you're going to a top 15 guy out of the state of Georgia, but on average, they're putting out, 60 guys a year headed to Division I out of the Peach State. So to get top 15 guys, certainly pretty good. You get guys too with Kamari Holmes coming out of the Archer program. That program prepares you with toughness, and it prepares you for the grind that's going to be college basketball at any level. So Kamari Holmes defensively, I think, comes in with a little bit of an edge. And the Luke Flynn coming out of the Great Walton program, a program that's produced a lot of players over the years, guys that can shoot, can score, can pass, can dribble. So a really nice class as well. Did you see the first game of the season with Purdue and Samford, what they were doing, how to promote that game?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. Do you remember Dallas Graziani? Does that name ring a bell to you?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. He played at HoopSeen. He was 5'5", maybe, down from Florida, put up dumb numbers. I mean, absolute dumb numbers when he played like Bob Gibbons. And man, it's going to totally drive me crazy now as to which team he played for. Anyways, he goes to he transfers a couple times, ends up at Samford. Okay. 5'5", and they have him jump tip with Zach Edey, all 7'4" of him. And they did an unbelievable job promoting on their social media. Bucky McMillan, one of the true rising star coaches there is in college basketball. They did such a great job promoting this game. I absolutely loved it. It made me want to tune in, and then I did tune in. But they're also killing it on the recruiting platform. In fact, they came out here to the West, and they recruited a guy named Zion Wilburn out of California, who's now at AZ Compass Prep. He's headed to Samford. He's our highest-rated guy coming into the league, actually. We have him higher rated than Isaiah Olatuk, actually. A top 150 guy nationally in our rankings. Really good scorer. And really like a significant, how did that happen, recruiting win for the Bulldogs of Samford there in the Birmingham area. Another guy, too, that I know Garrett Tucker is really high on, that's Caleb Harrison out of that Pro 1 program. And I feel like if I were to say Pro 1, how would you describe like that type of player and their ability to be ready right away in college?
Yeah, it's just, those guys are just so well coached. They're in a system. They know what it's going to take to play at the next level, and that's just one of the programs that are going to have some guys. I mean, they do it the right way, and they've always had some good guys that come in and can play at the next level.
Yeah, they're so well prepared, and I love what we saw from them this year, particularly at the Bama Jam. Really fun team. Caleb Harrison is a guy that's got a lot better too, honestly, from the time that he started in high school to where he is now here in his senior season there at Huntsville High School. This league, we talked about Bucky McMillan being a coach on the rise. I feel like this league every year is like such a great league for coaches, that middle stepping part of their coaching career.
Right.
A lot of times their first gig as a head coach before they kind of level up or they get a better paying job or something like that. But SoCon has a lot of coach turnover, in large part because these are really good coaches and good young coaches. And you've got a good one there in the state of North Carolina, Western Carolina, in Justin Gray, who's kind of came on strong and has really kind of, I think, gained a lot of steam already.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they just had a win against Notre Dame. He does a really good job of recruiting the state. He went to West Charlotte High School, I believe. He knows what it.
I remember covering when he was in high school.
Yeah, good player. He, and I don't believe that Cullowhee is the easiest place to recruit, and he's done a really good job of recruiting out there. So I think
you're right. It is. I used to do a lot of hiking there, and I'd hike a ton, and I got lost one time, literally in that area. I thought I was going to end up on the Discovery Channel. I was like,
you can get lost out there pretty easily. Yeah, it's out there.
It's beautiful. It's out there, but it's beautiful, and it could be a chance to really kind of keep your eyes on that.
Right.
They landed a guy. So funny story. So they have CJ Highland, who's coming up there from Georgia. CJ Highland, if you look back on his HoopSeen profile, has been playing with us since he was probably 6 years old, legitimately. Grew up around the program, grew up around HoopSeen. His dad always had a travel team play with us with Georgia Cup, all of our preview camps, you name it. So it's been really fun to see his journey. And CJ, no surprise to us because we've seen him such a long time, has turned himself into a really, really fun, good player. And I think he's going to fit really well with that style and brand of basketball that Justin Gray is building out there in Western Carolina. What was the name of the city that's in again? I've been gone. What is it?
They call it the Cullowhee.
Cullowhee. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've been gone too long, man. I've been gone too long. Tell me about Mercer's class. You've got another guy from North Carolina, the Charlotte area, that's going to be joining Greg Gary and his staff down in Macon.
Yeah, Mason Smith, 6'7" forward, one of those guys that can get baskets in the paint, then can step out and knock down shots outside. A pretty good rebounder for his size at 6'7". Going against some bigger guys, he's able to grab some rebounds. I like him. He's a Team Charlotte kid. They're going to be tough. We know that all too well how the Team Charlotte kids are. And then this will be a 2 or 3 guys that Mercer's got from North Carolina the last 2 seasons. So they come up here a lot and recruit the state, and they get some guys that can play, and I think he's going to fit well in there.
Greg Gary is one of the few head coaches that I know that still gets in his own car, drives around, and does a lot of recruiting. I remember seeing him. Remember that wild year that we had? We went down to North Carolina in Orlando for.
We stay at the same hotel.
Yeah, that's right. And I know he drove through the night. He was recruiting David Craig, excuse me, that ended up transferring out of the program already. The big man for the Tennessee Tigers.
7'2", yeah.
One of the biggest hands I've ever seen. But yeah, I remember Greg just driving everywhere. So I'm sure he's made that drive up 85 to the state of North Carolina. He's probably not driving to Illinois where they got their next commit, Braden Carlson.
Probably not.
Probably didn't make the drive there, but we certainly know that Midwest has been really good. His coaching staff has been with ties, obviously, with Greg dating back to his time at Purdue. Is always going to tap into that 6'4" shooting guard, so a guard with size. You always got to keep your eyes on those players that Mercer's bringing in. Again, I think a lot of this has to do with this conference, or more like who doesn't have a player at this point. Right. Furman doesn't have a guy. UNC Greensboro doesn't have a guy. East Tennessee State, VMI, just to name a couple other programs. So it might be something to kind of keep your eyes on. We're recording this show on Tuesday, mid-morning, early afternoon. Still another day to go, but I do think the transfers are something that you got to keep your eyes on here with this league. It'd be really interesting to see what happens. And I think, too, with these programs, these are great evaluating programs. They know what works. They know who's the type of player that works well for them. So it'd be certainly interesting to watch the high school season to kind of go from there. Let me ask you about the state of North Carolina since I got you here on the show. This, to me, is probably one of the best classes that I've seen in my career out of the state of North Carolina as far as depth of talent. When you look at the big board in North Carolina, how much talent still left on the board in the 24 class in North Carolina?
2024 class still has some guys. This class is deep. It's almost probably 2018 deep, maybe.
How many guys were that, roughly?
Well, it probably ended up being close to 30 down the mid-major line, low-major D1. I miss those days of me and you having our battle on Google Sheets with the committed players. I think you always beat me. You'd find a guy that was going to small junior college.
Yeah, JB and I would always have a competition in Georgia and North Carolina, which state produced more college players. I feel like I'm undefeated in that battle, bro.
I think you are, without a doubt. But
you're probably going to get me now that I live in Arizona. You're probably going to win pretty handily.
I guess I might have to get up with Josh and get that back. But 2024 class still has a lot of guys. Bobby Cannon just jumped off the board. Yep. He was a guy that we saw at our Carolina Jam that was very interesting prospect. But there's still a bunch of guys that can play.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is I do think because of these other programs, schools that will recruit North Carolina, there might be a couple of guys from your state that I think end up getting into the Southern Conference,
right?
Which traditionally there's always a league that recruits the state of North Carolina really, really well. So make sure you follow JB. JB, what is your current working Twitter handle?
It's at TJB Scouting. It's the only thing made sense that I could get in there. So
we had a Twitter /X catastrophe this summer with JB. So I'm glad he's back at TJB Scouting on Twitter. So make sure you follow him. That's really him. I can verify that for you. You don't need to worry about Elon Musk saying this is JB. I can confirm that is him. Of course, make sure you follow at HoopSeen as well. We got you covered all the time here for the early signing period. And, of course, getting into the high school season, which I believe is tipping off, or has it tipped off already in North Carolina?
Yeah, so private schools tipped off last Tuesday. So they've played a couple of games. And then public usually gets started around the end of the month. But, yeah, it's that time. And we've got the stuff coming up over Thanksgiving. And then I'm doing an event at Christ School.
That's right.
December 9th, and we've got a good slate. We got some Georgia teams coming up. So
give us a rundown of who you got coming to that too, where it is, and what it's called.
Yeah, so we actually called it the Asheville Classic. It's the first one we've done. It's going to be over at Christ School, which is in Arden, North Carolina, just outside of Asheville. We're starting at 1:00. We'll have Collins Hill taking on AC Reynolds High School, and then at 2:30, we'll have Lancaster out of South Carolina taking on Hendersonville, North Carolina High School. The third game is Combine Academy, which is they're ranked top 15 nationally, taking on United Faith out of Charlotte. And then finishing things up with the home team, Christ School, taking on Charlotte Christian, which is another really good program out of Charlotte. So, yeah, it's a good little event. We think it's going to hopefully get a lot of people out and see some good basketball.
And that's December 9th. Is that a Saturday, I take it?
Yes, that's a Saturday.
All right, I'm looking at the calendar. I'll plug that in. I love it. I love to hear it. Love to see it. Yeah. Love to see it. Make sure you go support that if you're in the great state of North Carolina or up in North Georgia or wherever you may be. You can get over there to Asheville. Really great. Also, Asheville, great place to be in December. Beautiful place to take a weekend trip. So, JB, this was good stuff, man. We got to do this. We don't need to have 3 or 4 months in between times that we record a pod. So that's on me. We've had a couple of things happening here at HoopSeen the last couple of months. So certainly a lot of things going on. I'm glad that we can get back here. Maybe we can get Justin with Hats back here.
For sure. Let's do it.
All right, JB, appreciate the insight as usual on the Southern Conference. We'll see you next time.
All right, buddy.